At a bustling intersection, three young men, Arisu, Chōta, and Karube, fool around carefreely, completely ignoring the changing traffic lights. The atmosphere turns awkward for a moment, and their reckless running leads to a car accident. Terrified, the three hide in a subway station bathroom. Strangely, fireworks start exploding outside in broad daylight. Then, something even more eerie happens. A rapid knocking sound comes from outside, the lights go out instantly, and all three of their phones shut down at the same time. The world outside falls into an unnatural silence. Cautiously, they step out of the bathroom stalls. The once crowded street is now empty. Nothing remains. The entire city is engulfed in a deathly hush. All electronic devices are useless, cutting them off from the rest of the world. The three stand frozen, dumbfounded, as if the world now belongs only to them. Soon, Arisu, a die-hard gamer, begins to feel excited. If it's just the three of us left, he thinks, maybe it's not so bad. We can finally escape the torment of society. Chōta agrees immediately, laughing and saying, "So do I." Both are thrilled, but Karube shows no sign of joy. Unlike the other two, who are escaping from reality, he still holds hope for life. Just then, a screen behind them lights up, displaying the message, "Welcome, players. The game is about to begin." Following the arrow on the screen, they see a red glow in the distance, leading to a building that serves as the game venue. The three walk to an elevator entrance, unaware of the infrared sensors under their feet. On a platform next to the elevator, there are several phones. They each pick one up as instructed, and the phones immediately recognize their faces. These phones have no signal, only a few simple programs. Suddenly, the phones ring. There are only 2 minutes left to register, and the screen shows that all three have joined the game. As they stand there, confused, a woman named Shibuki walks over. She steps through the infrared barrier and takes Karube's ID card from his pocket. "Once you enter the infrared zone, you can't get out unless you clear the game," Shibuki explains. Just then, a high school girl joins them, equally confused. The phone alerts them that registration is closed, and the game officially starts. The game is called Survival or Death. They need to choose the correct door within a specified time to escape the building and clear the game. The difficulty level is Club 3. They take the elevator upstairs, and the phone explains the rules. Each room has only 2 minutes to clear, and there are 2 doors, one marked Life and the other Death. Only one door is correct. Chōta refuses to believe it, thinking it's a prank by a TV station, and starts filming with his phone. Arisu asks Shibuki what happens if they choose the wrong door, but Shibuki hesitates to answer, only urging them to choose the life door quickly. Suddenly, black smoke starts rising from under their feet, and they only have 30 seconds left. The high school girl, unable to bear the smoke, runs toward the life door. In the next second, she is killed instantly. Seeing this, Shibuki immediately opens the opposite death door, and the other three rush in. Before they can recover, the countdown for the second room starts, this time 10 seconds less than before. Arisu finally realizes Shibuki had stood still earlier to let others test the door as cannon fodder. Shibuki stops hiding the truth. "The key to this game isn't which door you choose," she says, "but who opens the door, who is willing to sacrifice themselves." She arrogantly claims that her life is more valuable than Arisu, Karube, and Chōta's, so they should be the ones to open the doors first. With time running out, Arisu reluctantly decides to take the risk, but insists that Shibuki open the door for the next room. He walks to the death door, his hands trembling with nervousness. Even after psyching himself up, he can't bring himself to push it open. With only 20 seconds left, Karube, frustrated by Arisu's hesitation, steps forward and opens the door. Miraculously, he chooses correctly, and they escape just in time. When they enter the third room, the time limit is 1 minute and 40 seconds, confirming that the time decreases by 10 seconds with each room. Karube grabs Shibuki roughly, reminding her of their agreement that it's her turn to open the door, but Shibuki, who had been talking tough earlier, freezes in fear, her legs shaking. Karube knows he can't force her, so he turns to Arisu, a known gaming genius, and asks him to try to figure out the game's loophole. But Arisu, overwhelmed by fear, argues with Karube. Karube punches Arisu, snapping him back to his senses. Arisu remembers the BMW he saw at the building's entrance. Its length is about 5 meters, and the building is 4 times that length, so 20 meters. From the escape route map, he infers the building is square-shaped, and each room is about 6 meters long. This means there can be at most 3 rooms on each side, forming a 3x3 grid, 9 palaces. They entered from the bottom left room. The high school girl died choosing the life door on the right, so the death door on the left was correct. Then Karube guessed the right door for the second room. Now that the pattern is clear, they just need to follow the outermost circle of the 3x3 grid to clear the game. Arisu's reasoning proves correct, and they pass 2 more rooms smoothly. But when they reach the final room, they are stunned. The expected exit is now a wall, with 2 doors left. The left death door leads outside the building, and the right life door leads back to the room where the high school girl died. Both seem like death traps. Arisu frantically thinks if he missed something. He suddenly remembers the video Chōta filmed in the first room. The video shows that the room where the high school girl died had no door on one wall, but this room does. This means the high school girl's room was a split rectangle. There must be a hidden small space. So, the life door here must lead to a safe room. At the critical moment, they escape successfully, but Chōta reacts a second too late and his leg is burned. The final room has only 10 seconds left. According to Arisu's reasoning, the death door is correct, but the life door has a sign saying exit. Shibuki is tempted to open the life door, but Arisu stops her just in time. Those who resist the temptation escape through the death door. They all feel a sense of relief after surviving a narrow escape. The phone alerts them that the game is over, and each of them is awarded a 3-day visa as a reward. A Club 3 card is placed outside the door. As they wonder what the visa means, a shabby-looking man walks out of an alley. "This is an endless game," he tells them. "My visa is about to expire." Arisu is shocked. At the same time, all the lights in the building go out and the city plunges into darkness again. Shibuki explains, "The visa is your survival period. If it expires, you'll be killed by a laser. To survive, you have to keep playing games. The number on the card you get after clearing a game is how many days of visa you'll receive." The 3 had thought the game was over, but little did they know it was only the beginning. The next day, Tokyo's streets are still deserted. Arisu tries to start a car, but it doesn't work. Even more strangely, the food in the car has gone bad, suggesting the owner didn't disappear just the day before. Helpless, they take shelter in a shopping mall. After eating, they sit around a table to discuss. Shibuki arrived 3 days earlier than them and had already participated in a game before meeting them. This means players don't all see people disappear at the same time. Someone is organizing these games, Arisu says, so there must be game masters. Chōta's leg injury worsens. He insists the game masters are not humans, but gods who can easily control people's lives. That night, Karube talks to Arisu. "We have to decide whether to keep playing and adapt here," he says, "so we can help Chōta, who's injured, clear the games." Arisu is also becoming more curious about who created the games. Since Chōta is injured and they don't trust the scheming Shibuki, Arisu and Karube decide to participate in the next game alone. The next day, they go to the game venue, a residential building converted for the game. When they arrive, other players have already gathered, including Usagi, a muscular man named Aguni, and a quirky young man named Chishiya. The phones ring, announcing the game difficulty is Spade 5. A man in a hat tells Arisu and Karube different cards represent different game types. The higher the number, the harder the game. Spade games test physical strength, Diamond tests strategy and intelligence, Club tests teamwork, and the hardest hearts requires manipulating people and betraying partner. This game is Tag, previously misnamed Hide and Seek. Players must avoid being caught by 2 armed attackers and find the mystery person's base within 20 minutes to clear the game. If they fail, the entire building will explode. The game starts immediately. Chishiya goes to the top floor to observe everyone's movements, while others spread out to different floors. Arisu and Karube search room by room, but when they are about to go upstairs, they encounter the armed attackers. A killer wearing a mask and carrying a submachine gun. A player is shot dead instantly. The other players are too scared to escape. Leaving the building means death. Arisu and Karube run to the 3rd floor to find the base, while the armed attacker chases 2 girls on the 2nd floor. One girl trips, and her friend is killed just for turning back to look. The girl takes off her high heels and tries to resist, but it's futile. From upstairs, Arisu notices that the armed attacker, wearing a horse-faced mask, has limited vision, only able to see what's directly in front of him. He yells to the other players, telling them the attacker's location and urging everyone to take turns reporting where the attacker is so they can avoid being chased and find the base. But no one responds except Usagi. With only 8 minutes left, 7 players remain. Aguni can't stand it anymore. "That attacker is just a human," he says. "Instead of running around like cowards, let's find a chance to kill him." He asks Arisu to find a position to ambush, sends his underlings to cover, and plans to attack the attacker with Karube when he reloads. But Aguni betrays his underlings using them as bait. Seeing this, Karube picks up a weapon and charges at the attacker. With Karube distracting the attacker, Aguni launches a surprise attack. But the attacker is no pushover. Aguni is defeated in just 2 moves. Karube takes out a dagger and stabs the attacker repeatedly. Even after losing his gun, the attacker pulls out a butcher knife and stabs Karube in the waist. The 3 fight fiercely in a brutal hand-to-hand brawl, and the situation stalemates. Meanwhile, Arisu finds a clue. The attacker had shot at the man in the hat from a distance as if protecting the door behind him. Arisu guesses that room is the game's base. Chishiya, who had been observing, also notices this. But when they are about to open the door, Arisu hesitates. If the attacker has a gun, why doesn't he guard the base and instead go out to hunt players? With only 3 minutes left, they have no time to overthink. They open the door carefully and sure enough, it's the base. But they don't realize there are 2 attackers. Fortunately, Chishiya takes out a radio and electrocutes one attacker unconscious. Just as they relax, the second attacker arrives at the door. Chishiya hides outside and Arisu hides in a room inside. The room has 2 buttons, which need to be pressed at the same time by 2 people to clear the game. Arisu shouts out the window for help. Usagi hears him and climbs over the building to help. The attacker finds Arisu inside, and Arisu is barely holding on when Usagi arrives. They press the buttons just in time, clearing the game. The unconscious attacker wakes up and takes off his mask. Surprisingly, he's a kind-looking old lady. It turns out the attackers are also players forced to participate in the game. Both attackers are killed in the explosion after failing their mission. Aguni calmly collects ammunition, while Karube finds a walkie-talkie on a dead player. The person on the other end says something incomprehensible. When Karube asks Aguni about it, Aguni has already disappeared. At the same time, Chishiya finds a piece of paper with a strange pattern on one of the attackers. Elsewhere, Shibuki, who is staying at their temporary base, starts sowing discord. While Chōta is in a vulnerable state, she brainwashes him. Arisu comes from a good family and is smart. Karube is handsome and good at fighting. You're the only one who's ordinary. They only keep you around to make themselves look better. Now that you're seriously injured, they'll definitely abandon you a cripple. Why not team up with me? Shibuki's words shake Chōta. To win his full trust and make him work for her, Shibuki undresses, trying to seduce him. The next day, Karube thinks about the beach mentioned on the walkie-talkie the day before. We should go there, he suggests. Maybe we can find the answer there. But Chōta and Shibuki's visas expire the next day, so they have to participate in a game that day. The 4 go to the next game venue, a botanical garden. Inside, there are piles of weapons on a table and several pairs of goggles. They put on the goggles as instructed, and their faces immediately appear on a screen. The goggles can recognize their faces and support remote voice communication. Just as they are confused, the phone shows the game difficulty, and to their shock, it's Heart 7. Arisu remembers what the man in the hat told him. Heart games require manipulating people and betraying partners. True to form, this game is extremely cruel. The game rule is wolf and sheep previously misnamed, aligning with official hide-and-seek but correcting core mechanics. 1 person is the wolf, and the other 3 are sheep. The sheep must avoid the wolf's pursuit. After 15 minutes, the collars around the sheep's necks will explode. Only the wolf can survive. This means only 1 of the 4 can live. The game starts, and the system randomly assigns the wolf card to Chōta. But Chōta is overwhelmed by fear at the cruelty of the game and wants to quit. Arisu stops him. Forcibly removing the collar will trigger an explosion. Chōta looks at Arisu in despair, and the wolf card transfers to Arisu. It turns out the wolf card transfers to another person if the wolf and a sheep make eye contact. Shibuki realizes immediately, in this game, the ones who need to run are not the sheep, but the wolf who wants to survive. She shouts, making the other 3 look at her, and the wolf card transfers to her. Shibuki grabs a weapon and runs into the woods. Karube realizes she wants to survive alone, so he picks up a machete and chases her. Arisu yells at Shibuki to calm down, urging everyone to find a way to crack the game together. But Shibuki runs faster, tripping over a branch accidentally. Karube catches up to her, and the 2 once allies start fighting. Karube swings his machete, but it gets stuck in a tree. Shibuki takes the opportunity to pick up a stone and hit Karube, but accidentally makes eye contact with him. The wolf card transfers to Karube. The tables turn, and now Shibuki chases Karube. She knows Karube was injured in the waist, and she was the one who bandaged his wound, so she keeps hitting his waist. Karube can only fight back while avoiding eye contact with her. Arisu, meanwhile, still believes there's a loophole in the game. He shouts Karube's name, making eye contact with him, and the wolf card transfers to Arisu. But to everyone's surprise, Arisu turns and runs. Shibuki grabs a kitchen knife and chases him. Chōta, seriously injured, can do nothing but pray in despair. Arisu runs through the jungle, but soon Karube and Shibuki corner him. Shibuki, driven by the desire to survive, yells, "You're just a loser who does nothing but play games in the real world. You don't deserve to live. Give me the chance to survive." She swings the knife at Arisu, but Chōta rushes out at the last second and knocks her down. In his final moments of clarity, Chōta can't bear to betray his friend. Karube staggers over, but his injury slows him down. Arisu runs to a glass wall and takes out tools he prepared earlier, trying to remove his collar by looking at his reflection. But it's useless. When he tries to cut the collar with pliers, he remembers the 2 attackers who were killed by collar explosions the day before, and he freezes, losing the courage to cut it. From the earpiece, he hears Karube yelling at him, "You're not trying to crack the game, you just want to survive alone!" Arisu cries and apologizes to his friends. His fear and selfishness stem from his past. When his younger brother was admitted to college, his father praised his brother in front of him and insulted Arisu, calling him a good-for-nothing who only plays games and has no sense of responsibility. Maybe I'm the one who deserves to die, Arisu thinks. Karube's shouts pull him back to reality, only 5 minutes left. Karube collapses from his injuries, and the engagement ring he was going to give his girlfriend slides out of his pocket. Unlike Arisu, who has lost his sense of purpose in life, Karube truly wants to get married and start a family. Looking at the ring, Karube remembers his girlfriend saying, "You always talk about Arisu and Chōta. They must be really important to you." Arisu too thinks back to the past. Every time he was criticized by his father and brother, Karube and Chōta would show up at his house, cheering him up. The 3 were best friends. They would sneak out at midnight, roam the streets of Tokyo together, drink, and share their dreams. Whenever they were together, they were happy and fearless. These 2 are the people I care about most in the world, Arisu realizes. What's the point of living if my best friends are dead? He runs to find Karube and Chōta, wanting to pass the wolf card to them. But Karube and Chōta have the same thought. Chōta covers Shibuki's mouth and hides in the woods. Karube crawls away, deliberately avoiding Arisu's search. No matter how Arisu calls their names, they don't respond. Just like the rules of the game, the sheep hide quietly to avoid being found by the wolf. As time runs out, Shibuki accepts her fate, hugging Chōta in despair. Chōta whispers, "I'm sorry, Shibuki. I'm so selfish." Arisu keeps searching for his friends, and Karube finally appears, but he turns his face away, refusing to make eye contact with Arisu, refusing to take the wolf card. It's their final goodbye. In the end, Karube and Chōta are killed by the collar explosions. They gave Arisu the chance to survive. Arisu can't hold back his grief. He screams until his voice is hoarse, overwhelmed by the loss of his friend. 2 days later, Usagi is out hunting, looking for supplies in the park. On her way back, she sees a familiar figure, Arisu. He has been lying on the road for 2 days, waiting quietly and despairingly for his visa to expire and for death to come. Usagi leaves silently. Unlike Arisu, who has given up on life, Usagi lives each day to the fullest. She cooks, exercises, and reads, making the most of every minute. Before entering this game world, she and her father had climbed countless mountains. But one day, her father was accused of lying about climbing Mount Everest without oxygen. He didn't care about the rumors and set off again with his equipment never to return. Usagi fell into depression after losing her father, but when she came to this world, she realized, "I'm gonna die anyway, so I might as well make my last days meaningful." Every day when she goes out, she sees Arisu lying on the road. He has been there for days. If this continues, he will starve to death before his visa expires. Usagi can't bear to leave him, so she takes him back to her shelter. With her careful care, Arisu's physical condition improves, but he still can't accept the death of his friends. Usagi shares her story with him and says, "You can go back to the road and wait for death, but the world won't change if you die. Your friends won't come back. They gave you a chance to survive, but you're choosing to waste it." These words wake Arisu up. He still misses his friends, but he knows they wouldn't want to see him give up on life. Usagi decides to take him to a game that night. "You helped me in the apartment game last time, so I'll help you clear this one. But this game is even more dangerous. The venue is an old bus." When they get on, they find 3 other players already waiting. None of them look like rookies. Usagi notices one of them has a leg injury. The man immediately tenses up. In this world, any player can become an enemy at any time. The phone rings, announcing the game type is Club 4. Club games require teamwork. The goal is to reach the finish line within 2 hours to clear the game. A number 0 is displayed at the bottom of the phone. They guess it represents distance. The man with the leg injury panics. "I can barely stand, let alone run." His companion tries to start the bus. It can be started, but the fuel tank is empty. The injured man tells the others to leave him behind and go on. Reluctantly, the group leaves, but since they don't know how far the finish line is, they can only keep running. The number on the phone keeps increasing, suggesting they need to run a certain number of steps. This doesn't feel like a teamwork game, Arisu thinks. It's more like a spade game that tests physical strength. They run 5 kilometers and reach a supply station. Everyone is thirsty, but no one dares to drink the water there. They don't trust anything in the game. Luckily, Usagi brought a thermos. She gives Arisu some water, and Arisu shares it with the other 2 men. After quenching their thirst, they continue running. When they reach a road full of cars, Usagi notices something ahead. It's a large, wild animal. They have to run back, but one of the players falls behind and is attacked by the animal. He sacrifices himself to buy time for the others to escape. Grief-stricken, the 3 keep running. On the way, Arisu sees a motorcycle. He remembers Chōta saying, "Devices not controlled by electronics still work in this world." This means some old diesel motorcycles can still be started. Both the motorcycle and the bus they saw earlier use diesel engines. Sure enough, the motorcycle can't be started with the battery, but there's still a lot of fuel in the tank. "If we take the fuel back to the bus, we can take the injured man with us to clear the game," Arisu says. With only 1 hour left, Arisu tells Usagi and the other man to go on while he pushes the motorcycle back to save the injured man. On the way, he passes through a dark tunnel and finds the wild animal and the dead player they killed each other. The injured man is still on the bus, waiting for death. When he sees Arisu pushing the motorcycle back to save him, he is moved to tears. Usagi and the other man reach the end of the road. They think the finish line is there, but suddenly, a strange vibration comes from behind them, and they have to keep running. Usagi, who exercises every day, has good stamina, but the other man can't keep up. He trips and falls, takes one last look at his wife's photo, and is swallowed by the flood that rushes in. The flood is getting faster, and Usagi is about to be swept away when Arisu arrives in the bus. He pulls her onto the bus just in time. After the flood recedes, the 3 wake up from the overturned bus, all unharmed. When they get off the bus, they notice the word "finish" written on the side of the bus. Turns out their starting point was the finish line all along. The 0 on the phone represented their distance from the finish line. They had run all that way for nothing, and 2 players died. The injured man thanks them sincerely, and then they go their separate ways. One day, Arisu remembers Karube mentioning the beach before he died. They hadn't had a chance to investigate it then, so he tells Usagi about it. He wants to go there to find answers about the game. But after searching for a long time, they find no information about the beach. They change their strategy, they start observing other players, they notice that many players come to games in groups, and they all wear the same bracelet on their arms. Most of the players who clear games successfully are those with bracelets. It seems clearing games is not difficult for them. What surprises Arisu even more is that these players have working cars. They follow the cars and finally find the beach. The beach is a stark contrast to the dead city outside. It's brightly lit, like the real world they used to live in. Before Arisu and Usagi can marvel at it, they are noticed by the people of the beach. When they wake up, they find themselves on the beach. The people here are well organized, but their clothing is surprisingly casual. Most of them wear swimsuits. Soon, the real leader of the beach appears, a man with long hair and sunglasses named Hatter, previously misnamed Tada Kenshiro. There's only one way to leave here, Hatter tells them. Collect all the playing cards. According to Hatter, the world hasn't changed. Instead, the people here are chosen to enter the Borderland. Collecting all the cards allows one person to return to the original world. But clearing every game is extremely difficult. No one can do it alone. So Hatter founded The Beach, a utopian community where everyone's goal is to work together to clear games. For every complete set of cards collected, one person can return to the original world in the order of their rank in the beach. Ranks are determined by the contributions players make to the beach. Currently, Hatter is ranked first. The beach uses fuel to power generators and collects rainwater for drinking. It also collects weapons and ammunition everywhere, making it the largest organization in the Borderland. There are 3 strict rules here. 1. Everyone must wear swimsuits so no one can hide weapons. 2. All cards obtained from clearing games must be handed over. 3. Any traitor will be executed. Hatter gives Arisu and Usagi 2 choices: join the beach and contribute, or wait for their visas to expire and be killed by lasers. The Heart 7 card Arisu obtained earlier is exactly the one the beach needs. Hatter is pleased and doesn't make things difficult for them. During the day, people at the beach have parties. At night, they drink and dance, enjoying themselves. When their visas are about to expire, they go to games together. Chishia, who cleared the tag game with Arisu earlier, is also a member of the beach. Seeing Arisu arrive, he seems to be plotting something. On the night of the death game, the beach players, relying on their large numbers, easily clear several games. The most impressive is a man named Mouse Brother. He fights a tiger alone, just like Wu Song in Chinese legends. His two underlings are ruthless. One is Tattoo Brother, who is good with knives, and the other is Naragi, who likes to shoot randomly with a gun. Usagi and Arisu are assigned to different games. Arisu is paired with Anne, a beach executive. Anne wants to test if Arisu is capable of becoming an executive through this game. The game difficulty is Diamond 4, a game testing intelligence. They need to pull the correct switch among three options, A, B, C, to clear the game. It's similar to the first game Arisu played when he entered the Borderland. With his high IQ, he clears it easily. After the game, Arisu rushes back to the beach to find Usagi. When he sees her safe among the crowd, he breathes a sigh of relief. Over time, they have grown to care deeply for each other. Just then, Aguni arrives with a group of his men. They are called the Martial Faction. In the beach, only they have the right to carry weapons. Only Hatter's faction, the Idealist faction, can rival them. The beach has maintained stability because of the balance between the two factions. But most members of the Martial Faction are ruthless killers, so no one dares to provoke them. To everyone's surprise, Aguni's target that night is Arisu. "I'm disappointed that Karube died and you such a weakling survived," Aguni says. He notices Usagi's beauty and orders his men to take her away. Arisu stands up to stop them, but Aguni's men refuse to back down. Luckily, Hatter arrives just in time and saves Arisu. He also invites Arisu to join an internal meeting. After that night's games, the beach obtained many new cards. They are now only missing the face cards and the most difficult card that has never appeared, Heart 10, to collect all the cards. Anne guesses there must be a trigger condition for Heart 10 to appear. At the same time, Hatter's visa is about to expire, so he has to participate in the next game. The Martial Faction members exchange glances, clearly planning to cause trouble. The next day, Arisu starts asking around for more information about the Borderland. He learns that the beach has sent people to survey the borders outside Tokyo, but beyond the urban area is a blocked forest. Some people tried to escape by boat, but all were killed by lasers. Collecting the cards really is the only way out. During his investigation, Arisu accidentally finds a garbage dump filled with a terrible stench. It turns out these are the bodies of traitors executed by the Martial Faction. After seeing the cruelty of the beach, Chishiya asks Arisu what he plans to do next. "I just want to find out the truth about this world, avenge my dead friends, and help Usagi return to the original world," Arisu says. Chishiya thinks Arisu's ideal is naive. "When it's our turn to go back, it will be impossible," he says. He tells Arisu the current situation. The beach seems peaceful, but Hatter can barely control the Martial Faction. Sooner or later, the Martial Faction will overthrow Hatter, and the beach will fall into chaos. Chishiya plans to steal all the cards and escape before the crisis hits. He invites Arisu and Usagi to join him, and the two who don't want to work for the beach agree. The next day, all beach executives hold an emergency meeting. Hatter was killed in a game with a clear gunshot wound to his chest. To avoid causing panic, the executives decide to keep it a secret for now. According to the rules, after Hatter's death, the second-ranked man with glasses should take over. But under the threat of Tattoo Brother and Naragi from the Martial Faction, the executives have to hold a vote. Finally, Aguni is elected as the new leader. Before his death, Hatter hid all the playing cards in a safe in the leader's suite. During the inauguration ceremony, the new leader receives an envelope with the safe's password. After confirming the password, the envelope is resealed. Only the next leader can open it. The executives announce the change of leadership to the public. Chishiya tells Arisu to take this opportunity to steal the cards. Arisu sneaks into the leader's suite, while Usagi keeps watch outside. When Arisu finds the safe, Chishiya tells him the password is 802. "I didn't see the password," Chishiya explains, "but I could tell from Aguni's expression that the envelope was empty. The password is the mirror image of the word boss." But just as Arisu opens the safe, he is caught red-handed. Looking at Chishiya, Arisu finally realizes he was just a pawn in Chishiya's plan. Arisu is taken to a room, and his eyes and ears are sealed with tape. Naragi wants him to wait for his visa to expire and be killed by lasers. Unable to sense the outside world, it's a cruel form of psychological torture. Meanwhile, Chishiya sneaks into the leader's suite. He knows the important cards can't be in such an obvious safe. After Arisu is caught, Chishiya notices Aguni staring at a painting on the wall. He infers that the envelope wasn't empty, it contained a drawing. The real safe is behind the painting. Chishia takes down the painting, and sure enough, there's a safe there. The password is 8022. Chishia takes all the cards except heart 10. Just then, the beach's power system fails briefly before returning to normal. Chishia meets up with his partner, Kuina, in the courtyard. Kuina thinks Chishia shouldn't have used Arisu like that, and they argue about whether to betray him. When Kuina, disappointed, decides to leave, Chishia notices something strange. The entire beach has become a game venue. A voice comes over the radio. To thank all guests for your support, the hotel has prepared a game for you. The difficulty level is the long-awaited Heart 10, the game of the human heart. The game requires players to investigate a murder case and find the killer. A girl named Momoka lies dead in the hall with a knife in her chest, and the killer is among the crowd. Players must find the killer within 2 hours and throw them into the punishment fire. If time runs out, everyone will die. As the game starts, Momoka's best friend Asahi is the first to be suspected. They are usually inseparable, but they weren't together that day. Niragi wants to throw Asahi into the fire without hesitation. Anne and Usagi step forward to stop him, suggesting they find the killer based on alibis instead of making random accusations. Then, someone notices blood on Anne's handkerchief. "This is Hatter's blood," Anne explains. "I suspect Hatter was killed by the Marshall faction. The bullet I took out of his body is the same type used by them." Aguni arrives, demanding the killer turn themselves in. "Otherwise, the Marshall faction will kill everyone here," he says. Niragi shoots into the air and everyone panics and runs. Some members of the Marshall faction question this, but they are killed immediately. Under Aguni and Niragi's leadership, the beach becomes a living hell. To make the massacre easier, Tattoo Brother sets fire to the hotel. People run to the courtyard to escape the fire, and Niragi shoots them from the roof, turning it into a real-life battle royale. It works. Many players are smoked out of the building, and many are killed on the way. Usagi and Asahi search for Arisu. In one room, they find a member of the Marshall faction hiding in the bathtub he is too scared to kill. From him, they learn Arisu is locked on the 4th floor. Meanwhile, Niragi continues shooting, killing more and more people. His madness stems from his past. In the original world, he was a student who suffered severe school bullying. Ironically, in this world, he has become the cruel bully. But that night, he meets his match, Chishia. Kuina, meanwhile, sees someone sneaking around in the surveillance footage. She goes to the office and finds Anne rummaging through drawers. Anne is trying to use coagulant to extract fingerprints from the knife used to kill Momoka. When they walk out of the office, they are stopped by Tattoo Brother, also known as Last Boss. Kuina steps forward to fight Last Boss, telling Anne to go back to the hall to extract the fingerprints. Kuina looks weak, but she can hold her own against Last Boss, who wields a long knife. This makes Last Boss curious about her past. It turns out Kuina comes from a karate family and was born male. When her father found out she used makeup, he flew into a rage and kicked her out of the house. Kuina left her hometown and didn't return until years later when she visited her mother in the hospital. By then, she had undergone gender reassignment surgery. To her surprise, her mother didn't blame her. Instead, she said Kuina looked more like herself now. Last Boss, on the other hand, was a frustrated writer in the original world. In this world, he felt alive for the first time. He shaved his head and got a full-body tattoo because he never wanted to return to his old life. Last Boss rejects his past, while Kuina embraces hers, and this decides the outcome of their fight. Kuina wins. Meanwhile, Arisu, locked in the dark room, struggles and falls to the ground. He rubs his face against the floor with his mouth, finally breaking the tape over his mouth. Usagi hears his cries for help and follows the sound to a door, but it's locked. At the same time, she is attacked by members of the Marshall faction. Usagi uses her parkour skills to climb through a window into the room where Arisu is locked and finally rescues him. With only 30 minutes left in the game, Usagi suggests if the killer wants to avoid being caught, they would mix in with the hunters and kill people. So the killer might be a member of the Marshall faction. But Arisu disagrees. If that's the case, the Marshall faction will turn on each other sooner or later. This game isn't just about killing everyone, it's a heart game, which is about manipulating people. Suddenly, Arisu has an epiphany. I shouldn't think from the killer's perspective, I should think from the game designer's perspective. Hatter and Momoka died, one after another, and then the beach became a game venue. So this game must have been designed by someone who knows the beach well, and they chose the perfect time to start it. At the same time, Anne finishes extracting the fingerprints, but just as she is about to tell everyone the result, she is attacked by the Marshall faction and faints. Arisu has already figured out who the real killer is. By now, the remaining players at the beach are surrounded by the Marshall faction. Just as Aguni orders his men to kill everyone, Arisu arrives and stops them. "I was locked in the dark room before the game started. I have a perfect alibi," Arisu says. "You have no reason to kill me. Let's work together to find the killer." Aguni punches Arisu to the ground. His reaction makes everyone suspect he is the killer. Surprisingly, Aguni admits it without hesitation. The martial faction members raise their guns, but no one dares to shoot. Arisu stops everyone and reveals his reasoning. "Aguni isn't the killer. I know why he lied." It turns out Aguni and Hatter were not enemies. They were longtime friends. After entering the Borderland, Hatter thought the world was too desperate, so he decided to build an ideal utopia at the beach. He lied to everyone, saying collecting all the cards would let them return to the original world. To help Hatter stay in power, Aguni had to pretend to be a ruthless enemy of Hatter, keeping cruel people like Naragi and Last Boss in check. That's why the powerful martial faction never overthrew the idealist faction. They were balancing each other, all part of Hatter and Aguni's plan. But lies become convincing when told too many times. Gradually, power corrupted Hatter. He became obsessed with it, and even killed a group of players who hid cards, establishing the third rule: all traitors will be executed. On the night Hatter participated in the game, Aguni suggested dissolving the beach. "I can barely control the martial faction anymore." But Hatter saw this as betrayal. He was too addicted to power to listen. Aguni tried to reason with him. This power, maintained by lies, is meaningless. But Hatter picked up a gun and pointed it at Aguni. Aguni survived, only to find that Hatter's gun had no bullets at all. He had killed his best friend. Aguni blamed the beach players for Hatter's death. He thought their existence had driven Hatter crazy, so he wanted to kill everyone. The game designer used Aguni's mentality to create this game specifically for the beach. As Arisu says, Aguni's order to the martial faction to attack randomly wasn't to clear the game, it was to make everyone die together. If that's the case, who is the real killer, someone asks? Arisu has the answer. Heart games are about manipulating people and mocking players. In the Heart 7 game I played before, everyone wanted to live, but the game forced people to die. This game is designed based on Aguni's mentality. Aguni wants everyone to die, so the game will do the opposite. The goal is to throw the killer who killed Momoka into the fire. If all players want to clear the game and survive, there's only one person who fits the condition. Everyone realizes it at once. The real killer is Momoka, the dead girl lying on the ground. Throwing her body into the fire will clear the game. But Aguni still refuses to give up. He wants everyone to die with him. He tries to stop the players. Asahi says, "I can distract Aguni. Arisu, Usagi, you two take Momoka's body to the fire." Just then, Anne wakes up from her coma. She shows everyone the fingerprint results. The fingerprints on the knife are reversed, which means Momoka held the knife and stabbed herself. This confirms Arisu's reasoning. As everyone stands there in shock, the fire approaches the hall. Naragi, who everyone thought was dead, suddenly appears with a submachine gun. The hall falls into chaos again, and many players are shot. Arisu and Usagi try to stop him, but even working together, they can't defeat the severely burned Naragi. At the last moment, Aguni grabs Naragi and disappears into the fire. The players finally get the chance to throw Momoka's body into the fire. Arisu notices two phones next to Momoka's body. One of them is still recording. As the killer has burned, the game ends. Everyone survives, but at a heavy cost, they are awarded a 10-day visa. The once hedonistic utopia is now reduced to a sea of flame. Chishiya doesn't leave immediately. He goes back to the hall to take the Heart 10 card. Now, he only needs the final face cards to collect all the cards. After everything calms down, Arisu and Usagi check the phone left by Momoka. It turns out Momoka and Asahi were employees of the game, organizers called dealers. They helped design the games and sneaked into them to cause chaos. Even though they were dealers, they still had to participate in games to get visas. The video on the phone shows that the game operation base is hidden in a Tokyo subway station. Inside the base, there are thousands of screens, and the operators also cheer and celebrate as they watch players die in the games, proud of the games they designed. Using the video on the phone, Arisu and Usagi find the operation base. But it's pitch black inside, and all the operators are dead. It turns out the operators are also players. Since the players cleared Heart 10, the operators became the losers and were killed by lasers. Just then, a voice is heard. Chishiya and Kuina have also found the base. It turns out the map Chishiya found during the tag game earlier was a Tokyo subway map. Chishiya thought finding the base would solve all the mysteries, but he didn't expect the operators were just pawns of someone higher up. Suddenly, all the screens turn on, and a familiar figure appears. Mira, a beach executive. It turns out Mira is the mastermind behind the games. She congratulates them on clearing the game, and plays back the highlights of the games on the screens. To their surprise, Mira has prepared a gift for them. The next day, countless fireworks rise over the dead city, and several airships appear over Tokyo, each carrying a huge face card flag. This announces the start of the second phase of the games,